We have all of our board members, and it's be our regular annual organizational regular board meeting. We do have a public hearing as well, so we'll go ahead and get started with the public hearing, sale of Central Ward Elementary. To call the public hearing to order with a roll call.
Johnson, here. Liskus.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell's gone. Braster.
Here. Welcome visitors. Could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Sale of Central Ward Elementary. I don't know if there's anything, Tom or Mike, that you wanted to say. The board has received all of the information. Thanks for helping us get that together, Mike. Appreciate it. Tom, anything else?
I think this is basically for public feedback.
Yeah, any feedback from the public, that's right.
If anybody here with us would like to make comments on the sale of Central Ward Elementary, please feel free to do so.
Comments, I guess I'm just here to find out who it was awarded to, if it,
That will happen in the next part of our meeting after the public hearing, if that's okay. No word.
We have to have a public meeting before we can do the award.
yes.
If there are no further public comments, we could have a motion to adjourn to the regular board meeting.
Motion to adjourn to the regular board meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Thanks, folks. We'll move right into the regular / annual meeting with call to order and a roll call.
Johnson, here. Liskus.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell's absent. Braster.
Here. Again, welcome visitors and public forum time. Anything on the agenda or not on the agenda that you'd like to bring the attention of the board?
I do have something. For you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yes. My name is Michelle Moore, and I'm here actually on behalf of the Drake Public Library Board of Directors. We're starting a new initiative, partnering with friends of the Drake Public Library that we wanted to make sure that you all were aware of, and to get more information into the school systems. If any of you are familiar with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, that is a charity. Dolly Parton is a huge proponent of childhood literacy. And as you and I all know, getting books in the hands of children as soon as possible is life-changing, and life-changing when they get to kindergarten for their educators, because they're that much more advanced when they have an ability to have books. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is a charitable organization. We're partnering with them. We're raising money so that children, right now, we're focusing on the city of Centerville. Our goal is to be able to offer this to all of Appanese County. Children from birth to their 5th birthday will get a book a month mailed to them. They're all age appropriate. Dolly Parton, her foundation, has a group that looks at, new books and classics and things like that, and they determine the best books for these age ranges, and that's what they get. The first book that every child gets is The Little Engine That Could, no matter what their age is. But just imagine the possibilities of a child getting a book from birth to age 5. They'll have their own personal library of 60 books. And just think of what a difference that will make to the children in our area. The cost is only $25 a year per child, which rounds out to about $2.10 per month. All of that money goes towards the book and the shipping, and no overhead costs. So we're in the process right now. We've kind of got the agreement going. We're raising money. We're hoping to get $20,000 here this first month to kind of kick off. They say you should get 2 months or 2 years in advance when you're getting started. It'll cost $4,000 a year for the city of Centerville. But like I said, our goal is to reach every child in Appanese County. So we're in the fundraising stages and hoping to get books in the hands by January or February. So I just wanted to let all of you kind of know about that, and also the principals, so they, especially the elementary, so that they can let their teachers know. And if anybody has any questions, Nicole Cox at Craver Grothy Cox, myself, and Janelle Barth, the librarian at the Drake Public Library, we're all kind of spearheading this
So it's $4,000 a year.
for the city of Centerville.
Okay.
Yes. So we've kind of put together, we've been on the pitch to kind of promote it and get things rolling that way. And I'm going to be kind of starting with pushes. We're trying to get 10 corporate sponsors that'll pledge a minimum of $500 a year for 5 years. They're going to get some advertising on the labels and things like that. But we got off the pitch and we've had people give us $25. Well, that's one kid for a whole year, so. We are having a kickoff activity on December 11th at the library from noon to 2 to start getting people signed up, the youth, and the mayor is going to be having a special story time. And that's the same day that they're having breakfast with Santa and the reindeer and sleigh rides and all of that. So we coordinated with PACT to kind of program our stuff when they had a break in their programming. So hopefully it'll be a huge impact on literacy in Athens County. So thank you.
Michelle, thank you. Thanks for spearheading that, and thanks for bringing it to our attention. Appreciate that. Any questions? Any more questions, Michelle? Thank you again. Thank you very much. Anything else for public forum? If not, we could have a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Okay, motion and a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Thank you, folks. Approved minutes of our previous meetings, and we have October 11th, October 25th in our packet. Anybody have any comments or questions about those minutes? If not, we could have a motion to approve them.
Move to approve the meeting minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed say no. No old business, so we'll move on to new business, and first item under new business is approval of resolution authorizing conveyance of real property. We have that resolution in our packet. First, as mentioned before, we have all the information related to the bids that we received for the sale of Central Ward. The Finance Committee spent some time talking about that at our meeting. And let me turn it over to either Brooke or Kevin to share any thoughts that would be the consensus from the Finance Committee.
Go ahead, Kevin.
All right. Well, there's 4 bids. There's a $10,000 bid, a $20,000, a $25,000 bid, and then the last one was $225,000. From HopNet Properties, which is basically the owners of Lee Container. And they want to turn, actually 3 of the 4 bids were to turn it into affordable housing. And Lee Container HopNet Properties, I think is what it's called, is one to put it into affordable housing. I think, obviously that's a $200,000 over any other bid that we had. And they do have a local manufacturing presence and the financial capabilities to do this, and that would be the recommendation, is to take that bid.
Thank you, Kevin. Any comments, questions about that? Right, at least is this a roll call vote? Or is it-
Let's do it.
Let's do a roll call. Okay. And then the recommendation being to award the bid to Hawk Nut Properties.
So I would move to award the property to HopNet Properties
For the price of
for
$225,000.
$225,000.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's be a roll call.
Johnson. Yes. Liscus.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Cruncher.
Yes. Thank you, folks. Mike, thanks for your help, the whole process. We appreciate it. Yeah. We appreciate, I should have said this already. Of course, we appreciate having the interest that we had in the property. You know, I was very pleased to see that folks really wanted to do something with it positive for the community.
Thanks for the bid.
I might interject and just say that the company that's in there now, I went down and told them that the board was probably going to act on this tonight. That's all I told them, and they said that there wouldn't be any problem for them probably to be out of the place. They really don't need it much after the first week of December. So I think that'll be clean for us, unless you heard something different.
No, there'll be a period of time to get the abstract now updated. And then once it's updated, the closing occurs, I believe, in 10 business days or 2 weeks after we deliver that to the other side.
Mike, I would ask, are there specific board actions that the board will have to take beyond what they did tonight?
No, this resolution, once it's signed, gives the authority for the board to enter into the transaction and authorizes the board to execute the documents necessary. Not forgetting who we appointed on the board, but maybe the secretary or you, Tom, to sign the documents. Can't recall.
And not to muddy the waters, we just had a very brief conversation, Mike and I, about some of the stuff that we have in there that still belong to the district. And you were going to do a little research for us in terms of process on the content.
Yes, and we sent out a memo this afternoon to you guys on that, and what it basically says is if the value of those items is less than 25,000, which it sounds like it likely is on those items, then you guys have the ability to sell those items. You still have to do an advertisement for that, but there's no public action like we had tonight, where we had this, where we have to have a public meeting on it. It's just simply, you just announce that you're having the sale, and then you go through with the sale overall. So however you guys want to do that, if it's by auction or not, we haven't talked about how exactly you guys want to convey the property. Even if it's donated, you'd have to go through that same process. Okay.
Well, what's in there is a bunch of chairs, smaller chairs and desk. That's the bulk of it. Tim had a few items in there which we'll take out. So, and I talked to Julie and Terry and mentioned to the finance committee that maybe there's some folks in the community that has an interest in the chairs for smaller children. Yeah. We could do that, but we have no need for it as of our new move into the lake.
You also have a lot of flexibility on what you guys can do. Good.
Thank you. I know I speak for the board, Mike. It's great to have legal expertise right here in town that the school district can rely on. So thank you very much for taking those things on.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me.
We can move, if there's nothing further on that item, we can move into our annual board meeting. A series of reports that staff have prepared, and we can go through them. We'll go through one at a time. Usually what we do here, if Lisa would like to, Tom would like to, or Jen, anybody would like, staff would like to point anything out on the reports, please do. Or if you have any questions on these reports, please speak up and we'll do our best to answer them. So the first one that we have there is receive and approve our transportation annual report. And there's a series of pages, of course, in your packet that make up that report. So again, any questions or anything that staff would like to point out? And I should add, Lisa sent some additional pages out at the, I think, afterward that had a 5-year summary of these reports. So please include any questions that you have about those as well. in the finance committee took time to go through them. And talked a bit about them with Lisa and Tom. Just scrolling through, folks, so but if you have anything, please bring it up.
The other question I have, what is the difference, and maybe this is for Tim, but the difference between, it'll be on the second page, transportation required by law and transportation not required by law. There's a big difference in the numbers of like the kids, 2 miles, 3 miles. I guess,
3 and 5, I think.
yeah. I think it's what's the law?
That'd be on the second page of that report, isn't it, Mike?
Correct.
And there's that.
It's so on line 2, it's 219, line 4, 408. I guess I'm wondering what the law is, I guess, for,
What do we have to haul? Don't we have to haul?
yeah,
Tim, are you here?
I thought I saw Tim. There he is. Tim's up there.
Tim?
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm trying to figure out where you're at, Mike.
it's page 2 of the transportation report.
I'm looking at the one Lisa printed off today. We have to go through and say who is eligible to ride within 2 miles or 3 miles of elementary and high school. I'm trying to find it here. But I give all that, I go through and say this student rides, this one doesn't. And that's where we come up with those numbers.
And I guess just what I'm looking at is what's the law? What requires certain kids to be transported and the other ones just, I guess, not be.
Well, Tim, there's a mile, 1, 2, or 3 for elementary kids, and then it's further for secondary kids.
Correct. And we go by that off the state report every year, off what they require.
And what is that mile? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's 2 miles for elementary and 3 miles for high school.
Was that what you were?
Well, no, because that's on there, because I'm looking for what the actual, okay, so it says required by law and not required by law.
But there's 2
So we
lines
pick up
underneath
kids
it.
that are a block away from school.
Yeah,
We don't
is that-
have to.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have, to. I thought.
State law is different than what we go off of. We go 0.7 for elementary students, 2.2 miles for high school students. That's our board policy. State is different. State is what's listed on here.
Okay.
Does that make the numbers?
I can get that information together for you, Mike, give it to you.
No, that's good. That's fine. That helps me a little bit understanding it better.
Okay, so that, what's listed there actually is the law then, if I understood.
So the 2 and the 3
Tim
miles.
just said.
That's the, under each one of these categories.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for the question, Mike. Anything else, folks? Any further questions on the transportation annual report? If there's not, we could have a motion to approve that report.
I move to approve the transportation annual report.
Thank you, Brooke. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, the next item is receive and approve the local education agency certified annual report. Have that in our packet, and I imagine that Lisa would have anything to point out, or if you have any questions. with Lisa's help out.
I don't have anything.
Nothing?
I don't have any questions.
No questions?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. And the last one that we have is our local, our LEA's special education supplement. If there's any questions, or Lisa has anything that she would like to point out on that?
The only question I have on that is, are we getting our money's worth by using the third party?
On the council.
For Medicaid.
For Medicaid reimbursement?
Yeah. On Timberlake.
Yes.
I think it's,
I think we're on the uptick, if you notice, in 16-17, we were getting about 217,000. I don't know if that was because we had more students that we were getting reimbursed for. But if you'll notice, there was a decline there, but 2021 is higher than 20, so I would say yes.
It went up by,
We had, you got to remember, COVID was in there in that mix, and we couldn't bill during those 3 months at the end of the 1 year. And then that carried over a little bit. We still had some kids doing remote as we do now. So that factors into it a little bit too.
Thanks, Robert.
Mhm.
Not to put you on the spot, but how does the compensation work out for that organization? Like,
We pay them, I believe it's 6% of the net.
what they actually, okay.
They don't bill us unless we bill. So it's totally, they just recover a percentage of what we bill. But they have came in and they've trained our staff, and I believe that it's helped us identify some kiddos that we've might have missed otherwise.
Thanks, Robert.
And then
Go
it's
ahead.
complicated because what they bill for health and what they bill for behaviors, different amounts. They can bill for medical supplies. So there's different amounts that they bill depending on what's in the student's IEP. So it's all IEP based. And that can change depending on if the services change. So that's why it may not be totally consistent all the time.
Thank you. Any questions about that report? We could have a motion to approve that.
motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Next item is to review the official ballot of the voters from the recent school board election. Also in our packet. I think we don't have any action on that. I think we're ready. Just look at the abstract of votes. Personal comment here, I thought it was great that Indian Hills bond passed.
excellent.
That's just really good news.
There were a lot of voters this time around for.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's just outstanding for our community in the area. Okay, the last item here is adjourned to the organizational regular board meeting. So is there a motion to adjourn? So move. Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, it's completely up to the board and the new board, but Kevin's your current vice president, and if everybody agrees, rather than go through a lot of formalities, if you could have Kevin lead you through the the first part of getting this meeting going.
Instead of letting a temper and chair.
Instead of going through the president pro tem activities, you could just have Kevin lead you through this next part of your meeting. Now, I'm going to take a seat with the public.
I guess before you do that, I say to Bob and Marty, you served a lot of years to the district, and really thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, and thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you.
I would support those comments as well, and my appreciation for both Bob and Marty in terms of their time and effort, not just for a short period of time, but for quite a number of years. So as your superintendent, I appreciate their efforts, and we do have a lifetime pass. It's not a trip to Hawaii or anything, but it is a lifetime pass to events the card is kind of sponsored by IASB. So Marty, since he was president, he had to sign it, so. Which is.
Actually, something illegal about that.
Yeah. Thank you, Marty. And here's one for you, Mr. Thomas.
And Marty, I just know that you put in a tremendous number of hours over the years, and I think that's your services.
Thank you, Kevin. You all have. You all have.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we can do it twice. The retired card.
Yeah.
So we don't have Sarah up there yet, do we?
I don't know. Sam said Sarah was trying to join you remotely, but I didn't see her name yet.
She hasn't come in the waiting room either.
What did you say, Cameron?
She hasn't appeared anywhere on here, not in the waiting room or meeting or anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll continue with the organizational regular board meeting with call to order and roll call.
Johnson, here, Liskus,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Mike Thomas,
There.
Sarah Lynn, Shonda, and Tim Berger.
Here. Okay, so this time I think, Lisa, you do this part, right? You're going to administer the oath of office to Mike Thomas and to,
No,
okay,
Tim.
and to Tim.
oh, I said he might want to pack it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so Mike and Tim, do you want to stand up? Do you both solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Centerville Board Member for the Centerville Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
Yes.
Welcome officially as a board member, and welcome back. Election of a president and vice president, I guess we take these in that order.
Do president, and it's just nominations. You don't need a second.
Just, okay, so we'll take these one at a time.
Yeah.
Take nominations for board president.
I nominate Kevin Wiskus.
Or any other nominations?
Are there any others? Kind of do that.
Congratulations.
Do we need to have a vote or make it official?
After, yeah, after.
Okay.
No other nominations.
All right, if there's no other nominations.
Roll call for Kevin Wiskus as president, sorry. Johnson? Yes. Wiskus? Well,
Yes.
Sorry, sorry. Moore?
Yes.
Mike Thomas?
Yes.
And Berger.
Yes.
Okay, nominations for vice president.
So now you can probably nominate.
I nominate Mike Thomas.
Nominate Mike Moore.
I should.
Any other nominations?
Okay, so I'll go through.
Okay.
Johnson? Or who? Well, you tell me who. Who's your vote for?
Mike Thomas. And think which one.
Kevin Westcott?
I'm going to Mike Moore, make it interesting.
Sitting.
Mike Moore?
Mike Thomas.
Mike Thomas?
Mike Moore.
He's gonna say.
You didn't realize you were gonna get punchy. Right off the bat.
Tim Berger?
I'll go Mike Moore.
Okay,
Mike Moore.
Mike Moore. Let me find the place here then. Oh, you got it, Mr. Oath of Office.
I'll just do these at the same time if you guys don't care. You solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of President and Vice President of this Iowa Community School District as now and hereafter required by law.
I do. So you have to bear with me, I don't have nearly the experience of leading these meetings that Marty does, so I should have paid closer attention. We'll just welcome visitors, and if there's anybody in the public that would like to mention anything in or on or not on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll go on. Next item is to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
A second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
And I think that aye or yes? It's yes.
Whatever you say.
Whatever we say. Okay. There's no old business, we'll move on to new business. The first thing is approved.
All in favor.
Oh, all in favor? Sorry.
You did that. You did, yeah. Sorry. Said I.
Did I not? Yes. I'll do say yes. And that made me a little rough, I'll polish it up. So the next thing, a new business to approval of the Howard Phase 1 project, change order number 3. Rochelle is here, it's in your packet. I think this is something we previously discussed, but we need to approve the bill. Is that correct?
I have a question on Rochelle Hines is here. Correct, Rochelle?
Yes, I'm here if you have any questions. Can also go through it as well. You just let me know.
And why don't you just briefly remind us, because I remember talking about this one a couple months ago, or a month or whatever ago.
Yes, yep. I'll run through each item on this change order. This is change order number 3 for the Howard Phase 1 project. The first item on the list is PR3. This is to provide additional new piping to a cabinet unit heater that's located in a vestibule. Unfortunately, the original piping was cast into the concrete. And the piping, when they went to kind of resupply the line, it broke. And so they had to abandon that line, that water supply line to the cabinet unit heater. And they added one above it, necessary enough to add one above in the ceiling above. And then we had to have a little chase at the casework for that addition there at Howard. And that was for $7,755.56, an add to the project. Number 2 on the list is change request order number 8. And there was some additional demo that was required at a new louver. We had a new louver going in at the new mechanical unit on the stage area of the gym. And there was some additional demo that had to happen at some existing brickwork. So that came in at an add of $2,046.43. Item number 3 is change request number 9, and that was to infill an opening at one of the corridor areas where the glazed block. So they had removed the glazed block because it was easier instead of salvaging it when they did abatement. And so we decided to infill that area with, instead of trying to get glazed block to match, we infilled that area with gyp and painted it a nice splashy red. So it kind of adds an accent in that corridor. And that was an ad of $109.29. The final, number 4, PR2, was to replace an existing dryer circuit for the electrical. It was out of date and not wired properly, so we just replaced it at that time, and that was an ad of $415.22. The final one on the list, item number 5, was PR4, and due to some existing conditions in the teachers' lounge area, we had to level the floor and change kind of our original design of the carpet. We actually added more carpet in there just to kind of cushion that area because it was so uneven. The floor was so uneven once they demoed. And that was an ad of $2,573.57. So that's a total for this change order of $12,900.07. This will come out of the contingency balance for the project. So your remaining contingency within the project is at $34,004.76.
Rochelle, I think we had not approved change order number 2 yet, so that was what we had on our agenda.
You should have change order number 2. We approved that, I thought, at a couple meetings ago.
The last change order we had was dealing with the extension of the walls.
So this is a total of 12,000 what?
That's what I remember.
$900.
Because in our board packet, it's at 28,095.
Yes, that was the previous one. That was change order number 2. So I believe, and I could go back and look at when that was approved, but I believe that change order number 2 was approved maybe a month ago or so at a board meeting, but I could be misremembering.
I think she's.
I think it's been more than 2, it's probably been 2 or 3 months since we, I think, approved a change order.
You have it in our minutes.
That's what I'm looking.
Yeah, it'd have to be. I think you
I'm
did.
not sure what to do since you don't have that specific information in the board packet.
In your board packet, do you have the change order in there?
They
The
have change,
AIA document?
they have change order number 2.
Okay,
That's where the confusion is. What we're looking at our packets is different than what you just walked us through.
But it
got
does
it.
say on the agenda.
Yeah, the agenda says 3, the board packet is showing 2.
I can't get into the server.
Table it till we get the correct information.
Yeah,
I think we're ready.
I think we probably should. I don't know how to respond to it right now. I don't know what the glitch is. Why don't we, so the board's perfectly clear, why don't we table this?
Yeah.
And then we'll work on it tomorrow with Rochelle and then get back to you on what we need to do to move it forward. The only thing is we don't have a board work session because of the break in Thanksgiving in November.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is how do we get these folks paid? Because they didn't work, we need to pay them.
Yeah,
Can we do a Zoom or it has to have a certain person in person?
we have to have 4 of you in person, face to face. But we can potentially facilitate that this week to make sure we get it done. It's once we explain it to you, it's probably a 10-minute board meeting.
Yeah.
So, Rochelle, we'll try to get our arms around this tomorrow and work with you. Are you available tomorrow to get this clarified?
Yep, just give me a call anytime, Tom. Will work, should work.
All right, and then we'll see make sure that we have a clarification for you. And then facilitate a very brief board meeting with 4 of you present. And if that's what we need to make it happen.
Okay. It would be better if we did do it on Wednesday, Thursday, so we have the ISP. So it could be Tuesday or Friday.
Well, if 4 of us can go, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
that's fine.
because it's just gonna be saying yes.
Yeah.
He's going to be saying, "We're not last restaurant."
Oh, that's true. Okay. All right. Looks like we'll have to table this one until we get the right documents in front of the board.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for your time. Sorry about that.
Nope, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Okay, next, business on the agenda is appoint board members to groups or committees. We don't have Chris or Sarah here.
Is this something you want to do later when they are here?
I think it would be more appropriate when they're here. I'll tell you how my feeling is that probably the 2 biggest committees are the finance committee and the facilities committee. And I think for continuity, I'd like to stay in the finance, and I'm assuming Brooke, you would like to.
Mhm.
And then Mike, you guys would like to stay on the facilities. I think that seems appropriate for continuity. So then, Tim, what I'd ask you to think about is there's in the board packet is all the committees of you want to serve on, what do you want to serve on? Because we can have 3 per committee. And if you want to be on the finance committee or facilities committee or any of these other ones, just think about that. We'll have to handle this. I just rather would give Sarah and Chris a chance to state what boards or committees they'd like to be on, so.
Maybe we can, we don't have anything coming up that we'd have to work around. I'm not disagreeing. I think that's fine. And the consistency and the continuity on.
I think it's pretty important.
It's very important you do that. So yes. But we need a new person on the finance, and we need a new person on the facilities. Chris was not on either one of those. So therefore, we're going to end up with 2 people, one on finance, one on facility, and then the other one will not have an assignment on it.
Yeah, and so just going through a couple of these, we'll have to, for the negotiations committee, both, that was Marty and Bob were both on that. So there's going to be 2 people that are going to have to get on that one. So be thinking about that one. We're all on the administrative salary committee. And then the next one, Marty, what does ADLM, the Empowerment Board, do?
That's our emergency management. That's to be a liaison with that organization.
How often do they meet, or is it required?
You can attend, they meet on a fairly regular basis, and you can attend as a board member as you see fit.
Okay. So are there a lot of issues that come up for the school board?
Just to be informed. I
Okay.
think it's just to be informed. If you make quarterly meetings or a couple of times a year, I think you're doing well.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Maybe just make a comment about the Centerville Foundation Board of Directors. Bob and Mike had been on that. Mike, will you?
Yeah, I would continue
that. You continue on that. I dropped the ball on that a little bit. So now they do know now, but they didn't know one other time when they said who represents the board. And I was responsible for getting them your name, Bob's name. So sorry. Okay, we'll have that on the agenda for December.
Yep, let's do that. Okay, thank you. So next item is to approve the board attorney and chief negotiator. Allers Cooney is our regular board member, and there is our regular attorney, and there's one contact there who serves us for personnel matter. They do use somebody different within their firm for the negotiations. And it's been recommended by Tom, and we talked about it a little bit in the finance committee, that we go ahead with Allers and Cooney with Danielle Hanfield and Aaron, I don't know how to pronounce it, Hilligas as our negotiations. But it's basically, we're going to approve the board attorney chief negotiator as recommended in the board pack.
If, just a comment is Allers and Cooney do the vast majority of educational work in Iowa. And the nice thing about them is, yes, they say, well, Hilligas will serve as your negotiations person, and Rochelle, Danielle, excuse me, will serve as your personnel person. If there was a question that was out of their realm of expertise, they have 2, 3, 4 other people that can help us. So that's nice, I think, to have a broader range.
And I guess, Tim, for your benefit, Allers and Cooney represents this as a whole, as a district, their firm represents us in all matters. So with that, any discussion? If not, we can take action on this.
Motion to approve the board attorney and chief negotiator as presented.
Second?
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of Allers and Cooney contacts as our board attorney and chief negotiator? Say yes?
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, say no. I'm working on the language, Brooke, you should have given me that.
I was just
I'm enjoying Brooke over here.
watching. I think you filled in, you said I. It's okay.
I know,
It doesn't matter what you say.
I got a sheet of paper there. All right, the next action on the agenda is to approve the early retirement applicants. You do have the names in the board packet. In the finance committee, and I'm trying to find my sheet here. Tom did bring up, there was one additional name that came up. I'm looking for my sheet here. And what I did. And basically, it was a case of a staff member was trying to get their appointments with IPERS to get a good recommendation, and it just came in a little bit later. The finance committee, it's Kayleen Durley, the finance committee did discuss this and recommend adding her name to the list.
It's Kayleen
Durley, sorry. So any discussion on the early retirement list?
And
Or Tom, do you want to talk?
well, it just, I'm probably being a dick redundant, but we've gone through all the eligibility Lisa has, so that they're all good as according to the rules that are outlined in the early retirement plan.
Second?
All right, motion second, any other discussion? Okay, I have a motion a second. All those in favor of approving the early retirement options as added and adding Ms. Durlingham to that list, signify by saying yes.
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 All opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. Item E is to approve the Schedule D positions, which as you look through your board packet, those are mostly coaching and I would say coaching and activities and other positions. Now, my question on this that I have is there is some columns for, there's a percent age base, is that what it is? And then a max,
Yeah,
what does the age refer to?
well, it's based off of the generator base, the salary schedule. So if you look at the top, that's the current salary schedule.
But age has nothing to do with physical age.
No, I don't know why that's there.
Okay, I didn't know what it's called.
But we're just approving the assistant track.
As a new
Oh,
position.
that's the only one we're doing, assistant
Yeah.
trap shooting.
Rich is here. Rich, you here with us on that recommendation?
Yeah. So we've got several kids out for trap shooting. We've got a guy that's been volunteering his time for about 5 years, or 4 years, however long we've been having it. And the sport keeps growing, and I think he deserves to get compensated a little bit for what he does. And it's well needed with the many kids we got out there.
Does that position have to have a coaching license then?
In trap shooting, you don't need to have a coaching license. You need to have certification in different areas, and he's got all that. It would probably be tough to find a paid assistant with all these certifications that they have to get, but we're fortunate that he does have them.
I move to approve the new position or new paid position.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, second, any other discussion? All in favor of adding the assistant trap shooting coach to Schedule D, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed by no. And the motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So next item F is approve the request for allowable growth in supplemental aid enrollment, late open enrollment, the LAP instructions. And according to the packet, the amount is $104, $310.40.
So you have to have two motions.
Two motions. Okay. What are the two motions?
The first one is for a request for allowable growth for late open enrolled students for $310.40.
Okay, and what's the
And then
other?
the second one is for allowable growth for LEP instruction for $1,523.76.
Okay, everybody got that? So this action is two, I thought it was one, so it's two, so we have to do the approval for the allowable growth. Right. $104,000, let's take that one first.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion, a second to approve the allowable growth in supplemental aid, in the amount of $104,310. All in favor, signal by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. That motion carries, and the second part of that is the certified enrollment allowable growth for the LEP for $1,523.76.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion, a second for the allowable LEP growth for $1,523.76. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. And that motion passes. Okay. The next item, and this was in addition, that Kate sent out, was for the DeVries Consulting, our counseling agreement, Devin, it's going from 8 to 12 hours. So my question is, what is driving the growth in the hours, and where is that funded?
Just more kids that are surfacing that have needs for counseling.
Okay.
This the need, the funding source for that, Lisa, what?
It's ESSER funds.
It's ESSER funds. I thought we were talking about ESSER.
So that's 8 to 12 hours per week.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
It's without going into great detail, we really have some kids that need that support. And it's not easy to measure all the time in terms of the results of it, but we believe that it provides some support. So I would strongly encourage you to consider that.
We're adding some support at Howard Middle School. Currently, the support is mainly at the high school, so we're adding some hours at Howard.
Okay. And Tim, what you'll find as we go through school finances is a very complicated process. The ESSER funds are actually just called federal COVID dollars. So through the whole COVID, some of the stimulus packages, the district has received some funds that's called ESSER. And we can use it for monies like this. The question that we'll have down the road in a couple of years is when the ESSER money dries up is what do we do? And so what the board has said, as long as we have ESSER money to do this, we're gonna fund these types of things, so. But as you go through, there's a lot to learn on school finances. Okay.
Are those 4 additional hours going to be primarily then for Howard, or will they?
Yeah, but Karen's the one that requested the additional support.
Yes, those hours will be at Howard.
Motion to approve the council agreement amendment.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve a modification or amendment to the DeVries consulting contract from 8 to 12 hours paid out of ESSER to use those 4 hours at Howard. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Okay. So Tom, I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
Yeah,
The OSHA Emergency Temporary Standards Executive Order. It's a moving target.
it's really is. So I'm going to try to be planful in my thoughts and my words so that, because it would take us about 38 seconds to wade far deeper in this right now than any of you want to weigh into. And I just know that. So let me start by saying that the Biden administration is on the heavy push for vaccinations. We know that. And so what surfaced out of OSHA, most people know what OSHA is, a federal program that is very engaged in safety, in fact, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That's OSHA. And then you have another abbreviation for Emergency Temporary Standard. So we're talking about OSHA, and then we're talking about this Emergency Temporary Standard, which was driven behind the concept of requiring by OSHA, we'll just say, a branch of our government, to require people to get vaccinated if you have 100 employees or more. So significant entities don't have to do this. We wrote checks to the tune last month of 250 different checks. And if you're an individual that works 1 hour a day, or you work all kinds of time, whether you're certified, non-certified, if you work in our organization, then you would be required, because we're well over the 100. So that was the thing that was going on. And then, of course, I mean, there's no sense of denying the fact that this has become pretty polarized. But I feel obligated to say that I don't think it's proper for the school district to get into the polarization. We've got 1,300 kids to educate, and however we move forward with educating them. So there are some rules to it that I don't even know now will become a reality. What happened in Louisiana, I believe, was the Fifth Circuit Court said, OSHA, you can't do this. So they just set everything off to the side and said, we're not doing it. And well, there were, I think, as many as, well, numerous other states became engaged in this as well, which is in the Eighth Circuit, which is Iowa. Well, we didn't, that was floating around out there. And therefore, we as superintendent school districts began to think about how do you implement? And they've given us some pretty specific guidelines and timelines that you have to follow if it becomes and stays as a OSHA rule or law. If you don't, some exemptions that you can apply for from getting vaccinated, and they can be based upon medical reasons. They can be based upon religious reasons. And that is something that we have to manage. So in our district, again, I'm using the number 250 employees. We're meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock, but the information that I got today at 1:50, and I just want to read that to you because we're in a holding pattern right now in terms of all the detail and the rules. And I just want to read, I think, what we sent you. This was today at 12:58. On November 12th, IASB issued policy primer, special information on OSHA mandatory policy and vaccination to assist members in compiling with federal OSHA rules. By the way, IASB has been very, very engaged and helpful. They have an attorney, I cannot think of her name right now, that is highly engaged in monitoring that. They put policies and procedures together. But that policy won't be in front of you for any action tonight because we've been alerted by IASB to remain in a holding pattern. Tomorrow, November 16th, a panel of federal judges will be chosen by lottery. That's already been mentioned as being interesting. Will be chosen by lottery and this is the key part, to determine whether the state order issued in the Fifth Circuit, Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, applies to the entire United States, including Iowa. So you get that. If the state order is determined to apply nationwide, then districts do not, I repeat, have to adopt any policy. This determination from the panel is likely to be made within a few days. So they put a policy together, but because of the most recent development, they're saying, hang on, because what you would have to do, according to IASB, is if you adopted a policy as directed by OSHA and the courts came out and was not supportive of that at a later date, then you have to suspend your policy, which is another action. So, we could go into more detail probably in terms of, there's some timelines. Really, this wraps up by the beginning of the year where the district would have to be very thorough in notifying all of our employees, 1 hour or whatever, 50 hours. They're going to have to know exactly the content of the procedures if the board passes the IASB policy, but we're waiting to see. They have to know all the specifics of it, what their options are, what their exemptions could be, what the timelines are. And so the only way for us to manage that is that we would probably say to X principal, these are all of your employees in your given building. Now, if you've been vaccinated by any of the three, you bring proof in, you lay it down, we make a copy of it, and it's over. We just move forward. So, and I don't know, folks, with a high degree of confidence, I don't know what our really numbers are because it falls into some medical records issues. So we've encouraged people to get it, but if they haven't or choose not to, we don't know what those numbers will look like. So the one thing that's kind of interesting is I've marked that here just because there can't, if you violate the OSHA rules, there can be consequences for it. They had 2 of them here, I believe, that I wanted to make mention.
One of them just adds a digit to it, make it 10 times.
Yes.
30,000. Yeah.
Yes.
And then whatever the number was, they added it to them to make it tenfold.
$13,653, $136,532. They call it fined up for each serious violation, and then the big number was willful violation. So today is Monday. There will be conversations tomorrow probably. What I'm saying to the board, I'm saying to the community, I'm saying to the school system, we're in a holding pattern as to what we need to do. But what we would probably have to do is, depending on the nationwide holdup of the Fifth Circuit, we'll have to bring people back together to act on a policy.
So then, practically speaking, OSHA is going to, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Either we're going to have OSHA implement this or it's going to be suspended.
That's right.
Let's say if OSHA does prevail and this is implemented, we have to then, before we can require anything, we have to pass the policy as a board, which ISB is doing for us. Okay. So normal passage of a policy requires 3 readings.
No, it normally.
Can we just suspend it if we have to do that?
Yes, that's which it's in here.
Okay.
That you can suspend a policy in an emergency. This is classic.
Because what it seems like it could be the way that OSHA is going to put this out in the timelines. If they don't extend any timelines out, it can put us in a position where we may have to like act fast in order to be in compliance. And
Not unless I don't know.
I don't think we can do it at a regular meeting.
Well, I think you'll be hearing that. First of all, you'll hear what the result says of the lawyer, the judges, and then we'll react from there. But it'll probably be kind of a hurry up type thing.
But then are we going to wait for ISD and Allers and Cooney also to advise us what to do? Or Allers and Cooney says do whatever OSHA.
Yes, Allers and Cooney and IASB are pretty much in line in saying, if you have to do it, here's your procedures, here's the policy.
Okay, so we don't anticipate that the policies would change by any court action.
No, I don't.
I don't know why it would.
It won't.
Okay.
Well, that's a little bit too confident.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. Then what happens though is you don't have the same timelines to notify your employees and, collect whatever you need to collect and give them their options, their paperwork for their exemptions if they so choose. So
I guess what I'm saying is we could be jammed up on a very short implementation. And I feel comfortable that if we acted in a reasonable time and gave people a reasonable time to react, that I'm not going to worry too much about the OSHA data as long as we're moving forward quickly.
well, we will have to move forward.
All right, but I mean, if they give us 10 days to do it, that's kind of hard to pull everything off in 10 days.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Again, when you just kind of looking at the timelines in there, as far as, let's say, you have a person that hasn't been vaccinated at all, and then you have to get the first vaccination whenever they can get that scheduled. You have to wait so long before you get the second one. You're pushing past that deadline for OSHA.
That's kind of what I'm getting to.
Yeah. The only thing of hope that could happen is, as Mike mentioned there, is if OSHA were to say because of that, we're going to extend the date by 2 weeks.
I think I did see something in there though about a reasonable effort.
Yeah.
On their policy.
And I think, that, as long as we're making a reasonable effort to get it done.
Yeah, but it's not all that fun to be dealing with these things, but it's where we're at right now and all the different strategies to do what some people believe in and some people don't. But we will keep fairness in mind and sensitivity in mind, and we're not here to drive wedges.
Right, and I agree. I don't want to politicize it, polarize it, but I think from my perspective, as a board member is, I think as long as we're making a reasonable effort to get it in there, and we're going in the right direction, I'm comfortable that we're going to move along as quick as we can. That's reasonable to accommodate everybody, to give them time to either report back or get their vaccination.
Yeah.
In my experience with OSHA, there are bigger picture problems.
So I think moving in a reasonable but prudent rate is we're going to be fine.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
We'll pay attention to it. I have a meeting tomorrow at 10 with people that supervise people, all the principals and Rich and Chad and Tim. And just make sure we got everything out in front of us, waiting for what the circuit does. And then we're meeting again on Thursday, so we'll have everything in order and be able to get it in front of you with the policy. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for getting all the information together.
Prepared for this one day. I didn't
No.
think that was gonna happen at all, because I would, if that would not have happened, we'd had to invest a little bit more time with more detail that you'd probably have interested in, but we'll see. We'll see if that's necessary.
I got it. I forgot about the delegate.
We could just do it at the end.
We have to amend the agenda. Or is that a big deal? We can do it. I'll let you think about it.
Okay,
Procedurally do that.
okay.
All right, next thing is approve personnel business procedures. There's some resignations. You get, and for past practice, we usually take these in a lump sum. The only question I have is on, is it Mary Helmrich? Does she have to resign in order to take this next position? She's on here as a resignation, then as a, I don't understand this.
She was hired and then resigned, so.
Oh,
with-
she started
last time-
right away? Okay, never mind. Oh, Mary Helmrich. Okay, all right. I thought maybe she was going to a different position, but she's just kind of in and out. Okay. All right, any discussion on the personnel business matters?
I move to approve the personnel business procedures.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second to approve all of the personnel business procedures. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. And the personnel business procedures are approved. So committee reports. So as the finance committee, I'll go ahead and do that one, if you can add. We had 6 things on our agenda. We already took care of the sale of Central. The second thing was early retirement. We did that. Third was year-end reports. We've kind of gone through that. So we basically went through all those in a little bit more detail. The next thing we discussed is that we need to start thinking about, and it was mostly because of the action of appointing the board attorney and chief negotiators, negotiations for the 2022-2023 school contract will probably start in just about 3 months, probably from now.
Yes, normally the CEA on that presents, they're the one that initiates the first conversation. Yeah, it's practice.
So as we go through as a finance committee, we're continuing to work on the budget all the time. We're going to be thinking about that as really what we want to report out as a finance committee. And then I guess the other thing of importance is some sharing agreements with Rhonda and Tim doing early retirement, is that there's, by law, there's some positions in the district that we can combine and share with other districts, being transportation and buildings and grounds, what Tim does. And then Rhonda does special ed and circuit curriculum and instruction. And what we discussed was, is it appropriate to, how is it appropriate to fill those positions? And in some of those cases, could we share some of those duties with some other districts that are surrounding us? And so we just had discussions on how do we fill those 2 positions. We've talked in the past about separating transportation from buildings and ground, especially with, we're getting more sophisticated in our systems and the controls in the HVAC. And we're looking at the high school project. Do we want to have somebody whose facilities and grounds specific, separate from transportation? And I think the finance committee was going to kind of look at that more, make a recommendation to the board later. And then if we do break it into 2 separate positions, do we want to do some cost sharing with some other districts? Because, for example, some of the smaller districts around us, they may benefit from having somebody a couple days a week, couple days a month to help them. And that helps to reduce their costs. And the same thing with Rhonda's position. Do we want to fill that with one? Can we find another Rhonda, or do we want to do two different things and also share those with other districts? So we're just talking about options, how to fill in. And backfill the positions. No recommendations, we just discussed it at this point. You have anything to add, Brent? No?
Just that this will sound a little bit selfish, but we're all elected and hired to serve our kids in our district. And while I think we all have an obligation to look at ways of being as efficient personnel-wise as we can, I just want to reinforce, we got to take care of our district and our kids and our buildings and grounds when you get into these things. Because, sometimes somebody hangs a carrot out there and says, boy, this is going to be a great deal. And then all of a sudden, things start to fall behind because we don't have the personnel to cover it. So that's just a component of it. I'm certainly saying that exploring now is the time to do those types of things and what options you have. And we've talked about it on different occasions. And so we'll invest time in what we think would work, and of course, bring it back to the finance committee and the board, see what our options are. And of course, it takes a partner. You really can't share with another district if the other district's now we're not interested in it. And it's interesting kind of what goes on. And I don't want to get into our neighbors because they all have their own challenges and their own philosophies and things, but you got to have a partner that wants to work with you as well. That's compatible. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, financial reports and the bills. Those are in your packet. So are there any questions on the bills or anything in the financial reports that we want to discuss before we go ahead and approve and pay the bills?
Sure, talk to you before this on that. How close are we to being able to get the percentage used?
Oh, for buildings?
Yeah.
I'll make it a priority.
Okay.
So you're the same as the,
Same as what's on there, but yeah, just the percentage used for the budget year.
okay.
Anything else on the financial reports, questions, comments?
It's even.
Okay. Then I'd entertain a motion.
Motion approved financial report.
Second?
We have a motion second to approve the financial reports. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. And then I guess we have the
The delegate, Marty was the appointed delegate.
Bob.
Bob, sorry.
They live in one.
So it's kind of last minute, didn't get on the agenda and we didn't remember it.
Yeah.
Do we want to have a consensus of the board or do we want to have an agenda?
I don't think you're going to break any laws if you just have a consensus of the board who wants to fill in.
Yeah.
If you had to volunteer, I think that's some way some boards just do it.
And our consensus that finance and that Kevin would do it should be good.
Because I'm going to the convention anyways. I'll volunteer for that one.
That's the way I would do.
Yeah, I'll just volunteer.
And if you can't go, you can't go.
And then if there's anyone that wants to go, let me know and I think you can still sign up. So,
It's Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Right.
Yep. It's
You
an
can call,
immersion.
Tim, you can call anytime and at least so that you need some time to think about it. It's kind of short notice, probably.
Yeah. I know I have a meeting Wednesday.
And you could just go one day.
Right. It's workshops Wednesday and then conventions Thursday. Does that sound, I think I heard that.
Let's send those both.
I would,
Days.
I would,
Those next, I'm not sure.
yeah, it depends on what trainings and sessions you want to go to. But I would say if you can go up either one of those days, it's just, it'll kind of help. There'll be a bunch of materials available up there and it just kind of gets you into, there'll be seminars on both days. It'll just kind of give you a little bit of a, what have I got myself into?
They still have an orientation set, seminar, right?
Right,
Separate from that.
separate from that.
They will make available a orientation training for you. So you don't have to learn it all Wednesday and Thursday.
No, I'm going back 2 years later because I didn't learn it all the first time.
Oh, man.
So if you can't make it, then there's other options.
They have it
It'll
every
be
year.
2 years before they have the next.
No.
Or they have one every year.
They'll have one every year. They didn't have it last year because of the runoffs.
And there's quite a number of things, Tim, that you can go to throughout the year, whatever your schedule with. They'll highlight different topics, finance, personnel, legislative issues and all things. And you'll get that because you're on the IASB list as a board member now. And so you'll be getting a multitude of things that you can attend. And it's at your discretion what you would like to do. Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, we talked about the finance, we forgot to add it to the agenda, so I kind of whispered a little bit. So thank you for the help. Tom, you have anything on superintendent's report?
I just would say this is American Education Week, so we're all educators, so thank you and thank any of our teachers, sports staff, for everybody that's working our way through. Some days kind of challenging, but I'm very appreciative of the employee base, whether it be custodians, cooks, teachers, whatever it may be, bus drivers. We've maintained a pretty high level of professionalism and composure related to some of the challenge that we have. So I'm appreciative of that. And got pretty good feedback from a number of people on our adjustment Thanksgiving. Not everybody was excited about it as some, but that was pretty well received.
I saw two people, I thought two people just in different conversations, both said, oh, by the way, thanks. So
That's all I have. Thank you.
all right. So with that, I would just say again, Marty, thank you for all that you've done. Bob, thank you for all that you've done for the board. And appreciate the service to the district. And I guess I would say thank you for my fellow board members, I think, for who's trusted me with this role to lead meetings. I will work on it over time. Say yes and move things along at a brisk pace, but thank you for the trust and the confidence. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Kim did, yeah.
A reminder, don't forget, we may have to put our heads together in kind of quick fashion, potentially. Then the other reminder is November, we don't have a board work session. In December, we don't have a board work session. And then we really get at it after the first of the year, because that's when the dirt starts to fly in. Got a lot of stuff.
You're not even gonna know what to do with yourself, Marty.